your host, Chokwe, Lumumba. So revolutionary greetings, brothers and sisters. I am Chokwe Lumumba, and I'm here to share with you the history of the Republic of New Africa.
All right.
As a citizen of the Republic of New Africa, I fought my entire adult life in this struggle against the oppression of black people and for the right of self-determination. Right here in Detroit in March 1968, over 500 of the leading nationalists from across this country convened at the 20 Grand Motel. They came here to have a black government conference. That conference was convened by the Malcolm X Society, which was an organization that was organized by a couple confidants and near friends of Malcolm X, Gaidi and Obadele.
Right.
The roster of participants at this conference included the likes of Betty Shabazz, the likes of Queen Mother Moore, Jamil Alabama, Malana Karenga. You had Anwar Pasha, Papa Wells. You had Joanne Franklin. You had Hakim Jamal, Amiri Baraka, among many others. At this conference, the participants representing the continuation of the long history of African people in America identified themselves as New Africans.
Right.
They drafted and declared, listen to me now, a Declaration of Independence.
All right.
From the United States.
Teach.
They demanded reparations as compensation for slavery and other violations of black human rights. They identified in the Black Belt territory, in South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana as the bare minimum for the states that were represented as independent New African nation. And they established a provisional government to lead, provide administration for the transition from oppression to liberation. Prior to that convention, several founding members of the RNA met in Detroit at the 20 Grand Motel and conceptualized the ideology and the need for the black nation. Let's take a look back at what occurred at that meeting with Amiri Obadele, Queen Mother Moore, Gaidi Obadele, Papa Wells, Attorney Raymond Willis, and Dr. Shabazz. Sisters and brothers, let me introduce this group again. I'm standing in as Imari Obadele, Queen Mother Moore, Brother Gaidi, Papa Wells, Papa Pasha, Attorney Raymond Willis, and my sister Betty Shabazz. Now, sisters and brothers, can we just share our notes and share some of our thoughts on nation building? Is that right? We'll share our notes that we put together prior to the big convention. And I'll start. What must be made clear is that black people running the state, which remain within the United States Federal Union, could, under the best conditions, end police brutality. Black state power of this sort could also conceivably purify the educational system. But both of these objectives run counter to what the American system stands for. And would therefore tend to meet the same kind of federal oppression which makes the accomplishment of our goals, the goals that we seek through the use of state power within the United States Federal Union.
All right, yeah. My brothers and Queen Mother, listen, we have to have a concerted effort of white organizations like the unions to dominate the black vote in Mississippi are not the only obstacles that we're facing for black control. There is what has become known as the Tuskegee syndrome. Tuskegee syndrome. You heard of that? Yeah. This refers to the state of the black mind in Tuskegee, Alabama, where in 1965, a black majority, after a campaign by leading black people in the community against black government, you're not gonna believe it. This black majority, they voted a white majority in the office. The sources of this syndrome are not hard to identify. Raised on a saturation diet of white supremacy, believing that God himself and his son too are white, great numbers of black people in America have a secret. Yes, they have a secret. Abiding love of the white man that flows from deep recesses of the subconscious mind. It is matched by a complementary subconscious hate of black people, of self, and manifests itself in a pervasive doubt of black ability to succeed at anything. These ingrained attitudes in black people have been played upon to the detriment of every movement for black unity and black self-help in our history by white-dominated organizations like, all right, the NAACP, which for 50 years has held the spotlight in the fight for freedom.
Sister Betty is right. These organizations teach as gospel that racial integration is the only solution to our problems. They preach this to black people, not white, and that all black organizations in the fight for freedom are segregation. And this segregation, like the other segregation, is bad. All black churches and undertakers' bar rooms are all right. This teaches squares easily with black man's subconscious self-doubt. Many black people are easily convinced, therefore, that anything all black is all wrong.
What?
They are especially convinced and led astray in this regard because the actions of most, thank God, not all, leaders of black communities are designed to lead them astray. Great numbers of black teachers and professors, great numbers of college-educated black people who fill the leadership positions, often because they are designated by whites in black communities, believe in their own inferiority, but believe even more in the inferiority of their less well-situated brothers.
All right. Well, Queen Mother, it is that, together with the minority of cynical bought blacks, who are the pass key to the first and greatest barrier, which is what? Black disunity. Say what? Black disunity. To black control in any community. Because of these people, black unity in the past has been impossible. Without these people, black people would have nothing to fear from attempts of outsiders, like the unions, to control black candidates and black politics. We would have considered less to fear than we now do from economic or even physical attacks from whites. While these black leaders almost always profit from their subservience to whites, and some perform for whites for no reason other than profit, most are motivated by a conviction that there is no other course for all this. These people are no less dangerous and obstructive to the acquisition of black power in Mississippi or anywhere else for that matter than were they motivated purely by profit.
Queen Mother and I have lived long enough to recognize the truth. Those motivated by profit have from the very beginning forfeited their right to existence. Those motivated by conviction are due a brief solicitation, but after that, their further existence, unreconstructed, cannot be justified. It is a question of halting. In good times and our times, the coercive rapes which our sisters suffer routinely at the hands of white swine.
All right.
It is a question of preventing the extinguishing of life in the eyes of bright young black children, still too young to know, of ending the black blind squandering of genius and beloved mediocrity, of banishing all manner of injustice from our people hourly suffering.
Say that.
The continued crushing of our self-respect, the stifling of ambition and hope, and ending exploitation of bringing with all speed the new and better life, the new and brighter life, the new society.
All right.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, if we cannot tolerate those within our ranks who work against black unity, we must resolutely destroy whites who attempt to inflict violence upon us.
All right.
Those who labor for the new society must harbor no secret doubts about the white man's dedication to white domination.
Okay.
Failure to understand the magnitude and the completion of this dedication could be more fatal to our movement than many others. History must be instructive to us. Stanley and Rhodes in Africa are classic examples of white men who integrated themselves with blacks, exchanged solemn commitments of friendship and consummated treaties. Not so that men of different cultures might learn from one another, trade with one another, and live in peace, but only to use integration. These exchange of friendships, commitments, and treaties to deliver blacks to white domination.
All right. All right, Brother Imari, you said it. White men, they are without honor in power encounters with people of color. Listen, they have no scruples that prevent the use of any method to stoop into any perfidy to gain or maintain white domination. Hey, in the United States itself, the history of the white man's dealings with the Indian or Native American brothers and sisters in white conquest of the West parallels to the treachery of Stanley and Rhodes in Africa. There is no treaty that was not a convenience broken at white will. No friendship that was not turned to service of white domination.
That's right.
And Sister Betty, the character of the white-run war against Japan exemplified the attitude of unbridled savagery which the white American indulges toward people of color. The widespread of use of flamethrowers and firebombs in the Pacific, contrasted with their limited use in Europe.
Teach.
The use of the atomic bomb, yet little parallels the 100 years of white lynching of blacks in America, the open and systemic murder of defenseless thousands in the years just after the Civil War and just after Reconstruction, the burning alive and mutilation of children as well as hapless adults, the sudden unanswered disappearances in the black country, the use of the corpse, the electric chair, the policeman's gun and club to take away the liberty, the limbs, the faculties, and the lives of hundreds of thousands of black people. Hardly anything parallels this, but the conduct of the white man who in 1966 was using 100,000 unthinking black troops along with the white in pursuing the war in Vietnam in concentrated exercise in kind. Here again, in the wanton destruction of people's homes, the burning to death by napalm, flaming jelly, and flamethrowers of hundreds upon hundreds of Vietnamese women and children huddled in holes on the excuse that the guerrillas might be huddled there with them, the maiming of countless more, the saturation, bombing of huge tracts of populated country simply because It is held by the enemy.
All right, Queen Mother, teach.
Well, it is imperative that black people must disassociate themselves from this criminal and barbarous American effort. If we learn nothing from Africa, nothing from the racist conduct of the war against Japan, and nothing from the war in Vietnam, our own 100 years of lynching in this country, concurrent as it was with the white man's treacherous and systematic extermination of the Indians, must teach us that whites who attack us must be pursued to their sources and destroyed completely at their source. This must be so. This must be so. Whether the racist criminal wears a policeman's uniform or not, we must remember that at the end of Reconstruction, when racist white had no state power in their hands, they drove black people from the government and from the electorate using a knife-riding civilian vigilante force.
With state power in their hands, they have continued for more than 80 years to cultivate the white civilian capacity for violence. In Mississippi, where black drive power must proceed in countywide campaigns as a prelude to total control of the state, black workers face, as they have in the past, violence emanating from white racists operating illegally under state power or the police, as well as violence from white vigilante-type organizations and white individuals acting illegally on their own. All three must be utterly destroyed, county by county, using the black underground army for first, and then the county sheriff's organizations as the counties come under our control. Anything short of this is to make a mockery of claims of black control, is to leave for future flowering the seeds of resurgent white violence and fundamental return to the new society.
All right.
The answer to the federal opposition to black state power is a complex of studied movement: political, diplomatic, economic, and military. The crucial first step is the early acceptance of an essential and inevitable decision by those who seek black state power. This is the decision to withdraw the state. Ultimately, withdraw the entire new 5-state nation of Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina from the United States and establish a separate nation.
This
That's
separation,
what I think.
absolutely, make it plain.
That's what we hear.
This separation is necessary because the inevitable opposition of the federal government will be irresistible so long as it operates within the state. It must be put outside the state. Of first importance are the diplomatic moves.
Well, Papa Wells, your thinking certainly echoes others. As my husband Malcolm X taught, the black man's struggle must be internationalized. For it is only within the United States that we are a minority. Joined with other peoples of color, beyond the American border, black men bestow upon white men the status of a minority. You hear? The struggle must be internationalized for an even more basic and directly negotiable reason. We must draw to our cause the moral and material support of people of goodwill throughout the world. This support, correctly used, could impose upon the United States federal government an amount of caution sufficient, when coupled with the military viability of the black state itself, to protect that state from destruction beneath certain and overwhelming federal power. Look, in short, this is what I'm saying. The effort to win public support for the black struggle from the Afro-Asians, enacted in earnest by Malcolm and maintained so resolutely by Robert Williams, it must be continued and intensified. It must.
You know what, Sister Betty, you're right. We must continue and intensify the effort to raise serious, substantial questions concerning the status of black people in the United States and bring these questions before the United Nations and the World Court. But fortunately, the groundwork for this effort has already been faithfully laid by such men like Robert Brock, the founder of the Los Angeles Self-Determination Committee, and Baba Oshman Adefumi, founder of the New York-based quartered global community.
I think you're right, Brother Willis. As Adefumi Brock and their fellow workers have shown, the central question is to be brought before the United Nations and the World Court are two. The right of black people as free men and women to choose whether or not they wish to be citizens of the United States. The right was never exercised.
That's right.
Free from slavery by constitutional provision, black people were given no choice as to whether they would wish to be citizens or go back to Africa or to some other country or set up an independent nation. Instead, the obligation of citizenship was automatically conferred upon us by the white majority, while the rights of citizenship for black people were made conditional rather than absolute, circumscribed by a constitutional provision that Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation and subject to 90 years of interpretation and reinterpretation by the court, by the Congress, and the state legislature. What do you think about that?
Yeah,
Right.
so now, brother, adjudication of this question must bestow upon those black people wishing in a guarantee of their right to be free of the jurisdiction of the United States and ensure that their right to freedom shall not have been jeopardized by payment of taxes, participation in the election process, or service in the military during the period before adjudication.
And later, these acts are participated in by the blacks in America who seek adjudication, only under coercion and as defensive measures. The right of black people to reparations for the injuries and wrongs done to us and our ancestors by reason of United States law. And reparations have never been paid to black people for the admitted wrongs of slavery or during slavery inflicted upon our ancestors with the sanction of the United States Constitution, which regulated the slave trade and provided for the counting of slaves and the laws in several states.
The principles of reparations for national wrongs and for personal wrongs as well is well established in international law. The West German government, for instance, has paid $850 million in equipment and credit in reparations to Israel for wrongs committed by Nazis against the Jews of Europe. Demands for reparations funneled through a united black power economy must include not only demand for money and goods, such as machinery, factories, and laboratories, but a demand for land.
That's right.
And the land we want is the land where we are. Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, and South Carolina. The bringing of the first question to the United Nations, the question of black people's right to self-determination, creates a substantial question demanding action by that world body and puts the black power struggle in America into the world spotlight, where the actions of the United States against us are open to examination and censure by our friends throughout the world.
And you know, Gaidi, it also provides these friends with a legal basis for their expressions of support and their work in our behalf. The raising of the demand for land as a part of the reparation settlement infuses needed logic and directions into the American black struggle and increases the inherent justice of our drive for black state power and the separation of the new 5-state union from the United States.
Well, separation is necessary because history assures us that the whites of America would not allow a state controlled by progressive black people, opposed to the exploitation and racism and organized crime of the whole, to exist as a part of the whole. Separation is necessary because black people must separate ourselves from the guilt we have borne as partners. however reluctant, to the white man in his oppression and crimes against the rest of humanity. Separation is possible because it is militarily possible, and separation is ultimately possible because of diplomatic considerations. To be sure, the war to be fought within Mississippi and the other states against racist, violent whites must be vigorous, disciplined, and imaginative, or it will not be successful. But the more crucial war is the war against the overwhelming power of the United States, against which no single state nor group of 5 states standing alone is sufficient. Our defense against that power is the classic defense that has worked for others.
Yes, my sister. The defense of international alliance. When the 13 American colonies declared their independence from Britain, they also forged an alliance with France, which not insufficiently contributed to the colony's victory. When the Confederacy separated from the United States, it formed alliances with Britain and other European powers, and these alliances must have sustained, might have sustained her independence had not this creature been so severely weakened by sabotage and revolt of the slaves themselves and their service in the Union Army.
You know, Gaidi, you're right. In more recent times, the state of Israel was created in 1948 and maintained against Arab arms by her alliance with the United States and Britain. In 1956, the independence of Egypt was maintained against invasion by Israel, supported by France, Britain, and her alliance with Russia. Russia threatened to drop an atomic bomb on London if they did not withdraw. In 1959 and 60, an independent anti-capitalist Cuba was saved from invasion and subjugation by America's might, as America's might would invade and subjugate another small Caribbean island republic, the Dominican Republic, in 1965. Because, again, an alliance with Russia, the lesson is clear. Black power advocates must insidiously cultivate support of the Afro-Asian world. More, the moment when the state power comes into our hands is the same moment when formal international alliances must be announced. Indeed, these alliances may prove to be our only guarantee of continued existence.
All right, I hear
And that's right, Brother Imari. You know, the answer to federal opposition to black state power is a complex of steady moves, political, diplomatic, economic, and military. The crucial first step is the early acceptance of an essential and inevitable decision by those who seek black state power. This is the decision to withdraw the state, ultimately withdraw the entire 5-state union of Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina from the United States and establish a separate nation.
All right, Brother Ray. We will indeed develop a plan. And this plan, which follows through the logical conclusions, the implications of the drive for black power. I say for black power, right? Right. That's what the plan will be about, is black power.
Black power, that's right.
The plan calls for a holding action in the North with armed black communities sympathetic to the Republic of New Africa and supporting the Republic with money, with skills, with information, political pressure, and people. You hear, Papa?
Oh yeah, we got a plan. A plan that's with a major move to win black control in Mississippi, where a near majority of black people live. Based on the principles of winning consent of the people, convincing black people to take their consent from the government of the United States and give it to the consent to the government of the Republic of New Africa. This is concurrent with the similar drive for black control in Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina.
A plan that will include a vigorous military campaign based on our defense of property in the South purchased by the Republic of New Africa and defense of land over which the Republic of New Africa claims sovereignty by reason of black people, A, having lived to it,
That's right.
and C, having taken their consent from the United States and given it to the Republic of New Africa.
All right.
Yes, my brother, and a plan that will encompass the pursuit in the United Nations of the recognition of the independence and sovereignty of the Republic of New Africa, and the right of black people to reparations, including not only money, like I said before, not only machinery, and not only factories, and not just laboratories, but also land from the United States government.
And Brother Gaidi, a plan that will include the cultivation of support for the Republic among the Afro-Asians, the achieving and diplomatic recognition from these nations, the seeking of alliances with the Afro-Asians, including the nuclear-armed Chinese, to discourage U.S. federal power from reckless attacks on the Republic.
All right, y'all. And this plan will address the use of state power in the Republic to purify and improve education, to end discrimination and unemployment, and to start and run industries.
Yep, the plan will also design the creation of economic unions and a common market between the Republic and the Black Caribbean nations with Africa, Asia, and South America in mind.
And we must also include the development of economic alliances into larger and stronger political aggregates, starting first perhaps with the federation linking the black state on the continental U.S. with the black-controlled nations of the West Indies and Guyana.
This is, to be sure, a program of black nationalism.
Black
It is a plan synthesized from the contribution of many. But more than any man, the late Malcolm X, who in his last 18 months of his life became God's surest prophet to this lost black tribe in America.
Yes, Imari, so that men may know who we are and what we believe as distinguished from others. We will call this the Malcolm X Doctrine, and we who pursued it, the Malcolmites. Now, brothers and sisters, go forth all that is just, with all that is just and good. Challenge and defeat the forces of evil, not for water sprinklers or even for dignity in the abstract, but for land and power, the ability to shape our own lives. Go forth and reconstruct the world.
And go forth they did. That small group of revolutionaries who met that day in 1968 at the 20 Grand in Detroit, Michigan. Later convened with many others in 1969 and proclaimed that black people in the United States were in fact a nation of people, separate from the American people. This convention of delegates included Mario Obadele, Queen Mother Boy, Gaidi Obadele, Papa Anwar Pasha Wells, Atty. Raymond Willis, and Betty Shabazz, gave that nation of people a name, the Republic of New Africa. The Republic of New Africa took the concept of black nationalism to its ultimate stage when in 1968, it declared black people to be free and independent of the United States government. The Republic of New Africa declared black people's independence because it believed that black people in America make up a nation of people, a people separate and apart from the American people. The RNA also believes that as a nation of people, we are entitled to all the rights of a nation, including the right to land and self-determination. The RNA further believes that land in America upon which black people have lived for a long time, worked and made rich as slaves, and fought to survive on, is land that belongs to us as a people. Yes. And it is land we must gain control of because, as Malcolm X said, land is the basis of independence, freedom, justice, and equality. We cannot talk about self-determination without discussing it within the context of land. Therefore, the RNA identified the 5 states, again, as Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, as the core minimum of black people's land and believes that gaining control of our land is a fundamental struggle facing black people. Without land, black power, rights, and freedom have no substance. Free the land!
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 By any means necessary.
All right. We would like you to know that the dialogue that we presented to you today was taken from Dr. Imari Obadele's War in America. Dr. Imari Obadele, War in America. Thank you.